This is Anaya
and Arshi.
on air introducing you all the first podcast series of PIET Sanskriti Senior Secondary School NFL Panipat.
Zara yaad karo Kurbani.
In this busy and stressful life, we often only think about our present and future. But sometimes looking back from where we come from can actually give us strength to move forward. Our podcast series is a tribute to the national warriors who fought enthusiastically for country's freedom with their courage and determination. We will now listen to the saga of the unsung heroes of Rani Jhansi Regiment, which was one amongst the Revolutionary Army of Azad Hind Fauj or Indian National Army. A strong and true leader of his words, Subhash Chandra Bose, being a great devotee of goddess Durga, introduced Rani Jhansi Regiment in Indian National Army. This regiment was named after a great warrior, Rani Lakshmi Bai, aka Jhansi Ki Rani. This regiment was the women's regiment of the Indian National Army with the aim of overthrowing the British Raj in colonial India. It was one of the all-female combat regiments of the Second World War. Led by Lakshmi, the unit was raised in July 1943 with volunteers from the expatriate Indian population in Southeast Asia. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose announced the formation of the regiment on 12 July 1943. Most of the women were teenage volunteers of Indian descent from Malayan rubber estates. Very few had ever been to India. This was the world's first all-female regiment who fought on the front lines alongside men for the liberation of their country as well as womankind. The initial nucleus of the force was established with its training camp in Singapore with approximately 170 cadets. The cadets were given ranks of non-commissioned officer or sepoy according to their education.
Just 3 days before the establishment of this regiment in Padang city of Indonesia, while speaking at a rally, Netaji said, "I wish the brave squad of Indian women who defied death will pick up the sword that Rani Ki Jhansi used 18 years ago during the Indian freedom struggle." Dr. Lakshmi Swaminathan was also there in the rally. She had an MBBS degree and a flourishing career as a gynecologist, but she left everything and served the army. When Netaji reached Singapore, she requested to have a meeting with him, after which this regiment came into action. Dr. Lakshmi Swaminathan had now become Captain Lakshmi. She was the only women member of the cabinet of provisional government of Azad Hind Fauj led by Netaji. Later, under direction of Subhash Chandra Bose, she was appointed minister in charge of women's organization. A regiment of 1500 female soldiers was formed when she began recruiting in 1943. During Operation U-Go in December 1944, the Indian National Army launched an assault on Burma, but they were compelled to leave northeast India after the devastating Battle of Imphal. Captain Lakshmi was captured by the British Army. This was the story of Captain Lakshmi Swaminathan. Later, camps were established in Rangoon and Bangkok, and by November 1943, the unit had more than 300 cadets. Training in Singapore began on 23rd October 1943. The recruits were divided into sections and platoons and were accorded ranks of non-commissioned officers and sepoys according to their educational qualification. These cadets underwent military and combat training with drills, route marches, as well as weapon training in rifles, hand grenades, and bayonet charges. Later, a number of cadets were chosen for more advanced training in jungle warfare in Burma. Honored with a Padma Shri, Janki Thevar took over the leadership of Indian National Army's Rani of Jhansi Regiment in Burma. She is one of the unacknowledged female heroes in the freedom fight. Janki was born and brought up in a wealthy family. She was only 16 years old when she heard Netaji's speech in Singapore. She got so inspired by his powerful words that she was dedicated to leave all the comfort and luxuries of her life for this. Her life's mission became to serve a nation that she had never seen before but felt like she belonged to because she was an Indian. When she heard that Netaji was trying to collect funds for the Indian National Army, this little 16-year-old ran up to him and donated her expensive gold earrings for the army. She was so driven that she even faked her age and got enrolled in this regiment with the help of Captain Lakshmi. At an age where most girls were probably going to school or helping out at home, Janki was learning tactical combat and weapon skills. This was not easy for a privileged girl to go through such harsh training of the army, but this is what set all those girls apart. After the fall of Rangoon and the withdrawal of Azad Hind government and Subhash Chandra Bose from the city and through Burma, the troops originally from Burma were allowed to disband, while the remainder of the regiment retreated along with retreating Japanese forces on foot, and when available on mechanized transport during the retreat, it suffered some attacks, both Allied air attacks as well as Burmese resistance forces. The total number of casualties suffered is unknown. The unit later disbanded. Sometimes I'm just not able to imagine how people in that generation had such passion and dedication.
With this, we are signing off today's episode. We hope you liked it. Please show us some love. We'll be back very soon with another episode of
Zara